for the C part of question number 1, you could go the standard way of using the Lagrange method and then satisfy the Kuhn-Tucker conditions and eventually solve this question. Right, so you would have to find the stationary points and then make sure that you have found the global maximum and minimum out of those stationary points. But I personally like the geometric method of solving this question. So let's get started with that. So I need to maximize the given function f. So let's talk about f first. So f is a function in two variables. Okay, so I need to make sure that this f is maximized over the given constraint region. So let's say that the function f equals k, some value k. So my objective function takes some value k for some particular values of x and y. And now I want to modify this a little bit. So let me first make this a complete square. So that would be x minus 1 whole squared. Okay, so we add a 1 and then we subtract a 1 plus y squared is equal to k, which can be rewritten as x minus 1 whole squared plus y square is equal to k minus 1. So now if you compare this equation with the standard equation of a circle, the standard equation of a circle looks something like this. So this circle has its origins at the center and a radius of r. But the equation that we have has its center at x equal to 1 and y equal to 0. And the radius of the circle is the square root of k minus 1. Alright, so we have a circle centered at 1, 0 with the radius of k minus 1. So my objective function, this function f, will take values k for different values of x and y. So as k increases, the circle's radius would increase. Right, so let me take an example to show this to you. Let's say I took a point 2, 1. Right, so this point 2, 1, probably this is that point 2, 1. So for this particular point, the value of my objective function is this, which is just 1. So k equals 1 in this case. Alright. And similarly, if I were to take something like 2, 2. So 2, 2 would make the value of the objective function equal to 4 plus 4 minus 4, which is just 4. So for this particular point, k would turn out to be 4. And also there would be a lot of other points as well, which would give me the value of k equal to 4. All those points are these points that lie on this circle. Alright, so any point, if I were to choose this point, I would also get k equal to 4. If I were to choose this point, I would also get k equal to 4. So that's the geometric interpretation of our objective function. So the radius of the circle, this radius, is in fact a measure of the value of the objective function. Sure, it's been modified a little bit. We subtract 1 from it and then take the square root of it. But if k increases, the radius increases as well, or vice versa. Okay, so this is all about our objective function. Now let's look at the constraint function that's given to us. So in the first part and the second part, the constraint function is almost the same. So let's talk about the first part first. So it's 2x squared plus 3y squared minus 2x is less than or equal to 100. So I need to identify what region will be this in the coordinate plane, in the xy plane. So I'll worry about the inequality sign later. I'll just work with the equality sign. So I'll start by completing the square. So there's no problem with y. There's a little bit of problem with x. That's easy. So I'll take out the 2 first. Then I would complete the square by adding and subtracting 1 by 4. Right, so we're left with this. Okay, so once we've reached this equation, remember that most of the equations that we have in two variables usually don't have any coefficients multiplied with them. Okay, so most of the standard equations that we have, the equation for a circle, or let's say for an hyperbola, don't really have a coefficient multiplied with them directly. So I'm going to get rid of this 2 and get rid of this 3. And for that I would divide the entire equation by 6. So simplifying this, I would get x minus half whole squared divided by 3 minus 1 over 12, okay, plus y square over 2 equal to 100 by 6. I've just divided this equation by 6. And I've done that to reduce the coefficients to 1. The coefficients of x and y to 1. Okay, so once we have this, let me simplify it a little bit more so that we only have the terms with x and y on the left hand side and all the constants are on the right hand side. And this is just 201 over 12. Okay, so don't worry about this ugly looking number. Focus on the pattern here. So the equation of an ellipse is of the form x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. This is the standard equation that has its center at the origin, and the major axis has a length of 2a. Pardon my drawing, but sometimes I suck at it. Okay, so the major axis has a length of 2a and the minor axis has a length of 2b. And the center of the ellipse is at the origin. So this is the equation for an ellipse. Now this here also looks like an equation for an ellipse, except that we have a minus half here. That just shifts the origin to half, comma 0. So this is the origin for our ellipse. And if you want, you can find the values of a and b as well, but that does not really matter. What does matter is that we know that this constraint, the one given in the question, is elliptical in shape with the center at half, comma 0. Now this is important that the center is not at the origin but at half, comma 0. So our constraint is elliptical, centered at half, comma 0. So it's symmetric about this line. Okay, so and also we have an inequality sign here. So we need to figure out if the enclosed region inside the ellipse is what supports the given inequality. So I'm just going to substitute the origin 0, comma 0 in this inequality, and it does satisfy it. We'll get 0 is less than equal to 100. So this origin does satisfy this inequality, and so will all the points inside this ellipse. Of course, the boundary of the ellipse also satisfies it, because that is when this equality would hold. So our given constraint is this ellipse and the region inside it. Now for the second part, this inequality would flip, and that would mean that for the second part, the required constrained region is outside the ellipse, and of course the elliptical boundary as well. So now we know the shape of our objective function and of the constrained area. So we know both of these things. Now let's talk about first part again. Let me draw a neater picture for you. So this is our coordinate axis. We have an elliptical region, and this elliptical region is centered around half, comma 0. Okay, now I have a circle, and that circle must be centered around 1, comma 0. So this is the center of that circle. Now I need to make sure, now for a given value of k, that objective function would look like a circle like this. If I were to increase the value of k, that would make the circle a little bit bigger, right? So I need to maximize my objective function. So I need to maximize f. That in turn means that I need to maximize the value of k, which in turn means that I need the maximum radius. So the circle that I have must have the maximum radius such that it must satisfy my given constraint. And my constraint is this elliptical region and all the points inside it. So if I keep on increasing this radius, I keep on increasing the value of k, which in turn means that I keep on increasing the value of the function, and that's what I want. I want to maximize it. So right now there must be some value of f, some value of k that would give me this circle, and so on and so forth up till until this point. So when the circle looks like this, and of course this does not look like a circle because I suck at drawing, but you can imagine a circle here. So when the circle is of this form, when it has this radius, that's when I would have the maximum value of k. Now if I were to take a circle that was much larger than this, it won't satisfy my given constraint. But for this blue circle, this point right here, this left edge, this point would still satisfy my given constraint. It is still on the boundary of the ellipse, and I also have the largest possible radius. So this point would maximize my function. All I need to do is find this maximum value of the function. I need to find the maximum value of f. And so to do that, I just need to know the coordinates of this point. And that's easy again. I would just take my constraint function, this function here, and I know that it is on the boundary, so the equality would hold. So I have 2x squared plus 3y square minus 2x equal to 0, and I also know that y must be 0. Okay, so all of it is because of geometry, symmetry and geometry. And if I substitute y equal to 0, I would get something like this. This would give me the value of x as, let's see, this is 50. So x, okay, it's not going to be an easy answer. It will be an ugly one this time. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's all that I can do right now to find the value of x. So for this value of x and for y equal to 0, if I substitute these values in my objective function, I would get the maximum value of the objective function, and that would solve my part 1 of this question. Now for part 2, I just need to make sure that I minimize f over the constraint. The constraint is very much the same as the previous one, except this time the inequality sign flips. So what that means is that this is my permissible region. I can pick points from this region and from the boundary of the ellipse, of course, but I'm not allowed to pick points from inside the ellipse. Okay, so let's see what this means for the circle. So I cannot have a circle like this. Of course, for this value of k, my circle is very small, so my objective function's value would be very small. But I'm not allowed to pick any point inside the ellipse. I must choose a point that is on the boundary of the ellipse or outside the ellipse. And at the same time, I want to minimize the value of the function. So I want to minimize the radius of the circle. And to do that, I would have to get to a point where the circle and the ellipse are tangent. So tangency is what is critical here, right? So as you keep on growing the radius of the circle, it would finally touch the ellipse at one point. So there would come a time when the arc of the circle just touches the arc of the ellipse, right? And as soon as it does that, we would have a point here that would satisfy the constraint equation, and that would make sure that we have minimized the objective function as well. So that would give me the answer. And to do that, I just need to equate the slope of the circle and that of the objective function. So to find the slope of the objective function, to find the slope of the constraint equation, that is the slope of the ellipse, I just take the derivative of the given equation with respect to x. That would give me 4x plus 6y times y dash minus 2 equal to 0, which gives me y dash equal to 2 minus 4x upon 6y. So these coordinates here let's call these coordinates h comma k. The coordinates of this point where the circle and the ellipse are tangent, let's call them h comma k. So I'm going to assume that they satisfy this equation. So the slope of the ellipse at the point h comma k is given by this equation. Now what about the slope of the circle? The objective function, let me check it. Okay, it was x square plus y square minus 2x. So x square plus y square minus 2x is equal to k, is what my objective function is, the equation of the circle. Okay, I would take the derivative with respect to x again. This would give me this equation, which can be written as 2 minus 2x upon 2y. Okay, so this point h comma k also lies on the circle, so I can calculate its slope as well, and its slope would turn out to be this. So this is the slope of the tangent of the circle at the point h comma k. Similarly, this is the slope of the tangent to the ellipse at the point h comma k. Now when everything is nice and dandy, both of them would be equal, and by equating them I can solve for h and k. So 2 minus 2h upon 6k is equal to 2 minus 2h upon 2k over here. This is just 2 minus 4h upon 6k. The k's would cancel out and we would get 2 minus 4h is equal to 6 minus 6h, and this would give me the value of h as 2. Once I've found the value of h, I can find the value of y as well. I would just substitute this value in the constraint equation, the equation of the ellipse, which was okay, I keep forgetting these equations. It was 2x squared plus 3y squared minus 2x equal to 100. So 2x squared plus 3y squared minus 2x equal to 100. Let me just write k here to avoid confusion. So the point h comma k lies on the ellipse, so obviously it would satisfy it. It would satisfy the equation of the ellipse, and from this we can calculate the value of k. This would be 2 as well. Okay, so once we've done this, we can find the value of k, and I don't think that would be a good looking value. So let's see, this is 8 minus 4 plus 3k squared equal to 100, which would mean that I have 96 over 3, square root of 96 over 3, or the square root of 32, roughly something like 5.6. Alright, so I have the value of h, I have the value of k. So I found the coordinates, these coordinates where the tangency happens are 2 comma something like 5.6. Once we substitute these values in the given objective function, in the function f, we would get the minimum value of f. Just in case you were not impressed by my Picasso level drawings, here are two graphs from a meager computer. Just pause the video and look at them for a minute.